else will break your heart. I'm never gonna hold you back. I'm always gonna have your back. So try to remember that. I hope you're happy. I hope you're good.
Hello, David. Welcome to the 321 No Kiddin podcast. How you doing?
Hey, good afternoon, Bobby. I'm blessed by the best. I ain't got no complaints.
Awesome. I'm really excited to have you here today and share what you do with my audience because I think they need you. And even though this is a topic I've covered before, money is a big part of people's problems and a big part of people's recovery. So I was fortunate enough to meet you at a conference a few weeks ago, and you told me a little about what you do and how you help people. So maybe you can kick us off by telling us that, who you are, where you're from, what do you do?
Okay. Well, hold on. My wife trying to call me. She had to call back. Actually, I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. Actually live in Delaware now. Have 7 kids, 6 girls and a boy, but they're all grown and out my house. I was in the military, was a private investigator for 17 years. Actually, the past 4 years, I'm a board certified credit consultant. Help people increase their credit score. And I also help people start their own credit repair franchise.
Beautiful. So there's 2 things in what you do. You help fix people, but then you also give them an opportunity to be like you and help fix people.
Absolutely. It's changed my life. In reference to when I started, I had a 528 credit score. Now I have a 703. I have $50,000 in credit cards. Driving an Infiniti Q50 now. Earned my first $10,000 a month last year in less than 3 years. So yeah, this opportunity has changed my life.
Wow. So can you tell us a little about your process with credit repair? Maybe an overarching, right? Because there's a lot of nitty gritty when it comes to sorting out credit. And I've learned a lot of things the hard way myself.
Right.
So maybe kind of share what that looks like. If somebody wanted to work with you, what would that look like?
Okay. Well, first off, I work with a larger company that's been around for over 18 years that removed over 1 million derogatory items from people's credit reports, including myself. You know, like I said, I had a 528 credit score. I had 13 negative items. I had 7 of those were collection accounts. I had a repossession. I had late payments on my old truck. I had a $17,000 student loan that was in default. Now I have 0 negative items. That was the best thing. But we have attorneys that actually do the paperwork. When somebody gets started with me, we don't just fix people's credit. We educate them on how to maintain it, because we're not a credit repair company. We're a financial literacy company. You know, like you said, ain't nobody teach me nothing about credit or financial literacy in high school or elementary school. We learn about it after the damage is already done. So we help them change a few habits, because if you don't change some of the habits, you're gonna wind up coming right back to us. So we do that. We actually give them 12 services. We monitor their credit. We monitor and protect their identity, provide them with a budgeting tool, savings goal tool, debt payoff. We actually draft up their will, trust, medical, and financial power of attorney for less than $3 a day. They can't beat that anywhere.
Wow, that's a lot of services. So just to be clear, to make sure, because I don't talk all your language exactly, but negative items, you kind of went through a list. So student loans, things that have gone to
it doesn't matter. Bankruptcies, collections, evictions, repossessions, late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, anything that's negative or derogatory on your credit report, our attorneys go after. And, you know, I always tell people, I'm like, you didn't get bad credit overnight. You're not going to get good credit overnight. It is a process. You have to trust the process. You know, most of our clients, they start seeing results within the first 45 to 90 days, but we recommend that they stay on for at least 6 months. I always like to tell people a credit report is just like a fingerprint. Everybody got one. Everybody's different. So some people have fast results. Some people take a little longer. But I always ask people, what else do you have in place to help you get rid of that bad credit?
Right. So when is an optimal time for someone to come to you? If there was like an optimal time, is it when they're on the verge of bankruptcy? Is it when their mortgage is foreclosed? Like, what does that look like?
I'll put it like this. That was a great question. If you have less than a 680 credit score, you got bad credit. Some people, I've spoken to over 1,000 people. I've been doing this 4 years, and somebody tell me that, oh, my credit's good. And I ask them what the credit score is. They say 580, 620, 650. That's bad credit. You still got bad credit. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get denied out of anything that you apply for. Or if you got 650, you might get approved, but you're going to have a high interest rate.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What about someone who's completely maxed out, right? Do they have the ability to get fixed through this program? Like if their utilization, well, I guess let's talk about utilization first, because I don't think people even understand what utilization is or how it impacts. You want to expand on that so I don't mess it up?
No, you're good. Well, it's 5 different areas that go into a credit report that people don't realize. I speak to people that say, well, I pay my bills on time. My credit score is not going up. Payment history only counts for 35% of your credit score. That's the biggest chunk. That's why you never want to pay a bill late. One late payment can easily drop your credit score 50 to 100 points. That's the max. Next category is credit utilization, which is 30% of your score. You want to keep your bills below 30%, ideally 10%, no more than 30%. Like 4 years ago, I didn't know this. Me and my wife's cards was maxed out at 98%. But once we got educated, we just went to work and used our debt payoff tool that teaches you how to aggressively pay down on your debt. And I got my utilization down to 24% when I got my my Infinity. And then I got it down to 1%, and my score shot up 142 points. And that's when I applied for 3 credit cards in the same day and got $40,000 in credit cards. That's how I was able to make the boot camp and the real estate.
Love that.
Yeah.
So you said utilization, paying on time. Did you say there was 5 things?
5. Oh, I only did 3. I only did 2. The third one is how long is 15% of how long have you had that account. Lenders are looking for you to have accounts 5 years or more. So if you have less than 5 years, you got to wait a couple of years. Like mine, when I got my credit cards, I was at 4 years and 8 months. Then I applied for 3 cards, and I had refinanced my Wyndham account, my timeshare. It dropped down to 3 years and 6 months. So if you want to get towards that 800, 850, you need to have 5 years or more. Like my mom, she had an account 15, 20 years. She wanted to close. I said, Ma, don't do that. It's going to drop your credit score. She already has an 820. Because see, you've already established that you know how to manage your credit and manage money, pretty much your credit. Then you have another 10%, which is based off of inquiries, new inquiries, and everything you applied for in the past 12 to 24 months. You want to keep it down to 1 to 2. Don't want more than 2. Now, some people look at Credit Karma, which give you a Vantage score. 90% of lenders are looking at your FICO score. So if Credit Karma says your credit score is 700, and you go down to a car dealership and find out that it's actually a 620 or a 650, then they're running your credit over and over again, trying to get you approved. And when you have 3, 4, 5, or 6 more inquiries, it makes it look like you're desperate for credit. And it's actually going to hurt your credit score. Then you have the last 10% is types of credit. You have revolving credit and you have installment credit. Revolving credit are those credit cards, bank cards, department store, gas cards. Then you have installment credit, which is a mortgage, car payment, personal loans, student loans, things like that. You want to have a mixture of both. Now, some people, on average, you want to have about 3 to 5 different types of credit cards. Now, some people say, I want no credit cards. Yeah, you do. If you want to get towards that 800, 850, you need those credit cards. See, it's not that credit cards is bad. It's people's mismanagement about credit cards that make them bad because nobody taught us that information.
That makes perfect sense. Thank you for explaining all 5.
Absolutely.
So back to utilization, I'm going to just do math so that it's clear, because you talked in percents and I think I understand.
Okay.
So if someone had $1,000 limit in all their credit and they use $400, that would be 40% utilization. And we want to be under $300 on every 1,000.
Correct.
Okay. So somebody has that 98% utilization, and it sounds like you're familiar with that for sure. So what's a good starting point there? Is it just, hey, David, come rescue me? Or like, what does that look like?
Some people, I feel, we live out of our means. Sometimes we get these credit cards, we think it's free money and we max them out. And then you forgot you got to pay them off. You got to pay them off, But I ain't gonna lie. I even though I know this, I got $25,000 from Navy Federal, got $10,000 from Discover, got another $4,500 from my timeshare, all in the same day. And I've already close to maxed out my Discover card already. So I already froze the card. I'm like, okay, I don't need to touch that no more. I need to start paying that off. But the difference is now I know what to do. So when it dropped, my score dropped 20 points because I had it at like 1%, and then it shot up to like, I think it's at 67%, which is high. But I don't worry. Now anybody else would be freaking out and everything. I was like, I know what I did. I'm like, no biggie. I said, I don't plan on applying for nothing no time soon. I got the $50,000 in credit cards. I got a new car, luxury car. I'm not planning on buying a house for another 2 years. So I'm like, I'm good. I ain't worried about it. I know how I can work on it. I have time to work on it to get it down before I buy a house. But it's just the knowledge. It's
really the long game. It's having the knowledge and knowing how to apply it in the long game and marry it to your goals, it sounds like.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, that's really interesting. I had never heard, for me, I have Credit Karma, and it's always lower than my credit cards say my FICO score is. So I didn't realize it was two different agencies. So thank you for clearing that up for me.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you call the other one?
It's called a Vantage score.
Vantage. Okay. I'm learning things here.
See, the information is correct, but the scores are different. They use different scoring models. There's actually 22 different types of FICO scores. And 90% of lenders are looking at your FICO score, not your Vantage score.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Do you think Credit Karma is a good tool, though? Like for someone who wants to manage it every day? Like kind of see what's going on?
Yeah. If they just looking at the information, like your payment history and everything, you want to have that at least 100. You want everything that they show you, you want to keep it in the green. If it's in the red, you definitely got to work on it. If it's in the yellow, that's a warning sign for you. Like mine, my payment history is at 99%. It's in the green. I'm good. The derogatory items, I have 0. I had 13. I have 0. That's in the green. I ain't worried about that. My credit utilization just went up to 37%, so it's in the yellow. So I'm like, okay, I ain't worrying about it. As long as it ain't in the red, I know I got to work on it to get it back in the green. My length of credit is in the red because it's 3 years and 6 months. When I got the 3 new cards, it drops your score a little bit and it messes up your length of credit and everything. So I'm like, all right, I ain't worrying about it. I'm planning on buying a house for like 2 years. I ain't worrying about it. And then what else on there? It's in the yellow. Inquiries. I had it in the green because I had 0 when I applied for the 3 cards and everything, but I know which credit bureaus each card pulled from. So really only 1 new inquiry on each report. So I know that's the trick of the game. I know Navy Federal pulled from I think was TransUnion, Discover pulled from Experian, and my timeshare pulled from Equifax. So I knew which bureaus they pulled from instead of it all being on 1 credit bureau. So I wouldn't have 3 inquiries. But now I have 3 inquiries, but it's something else, something different, but it's in the yellow. But I'm like, I ain't worrying about it. Any account that you have that that's currently open, you never want to dispute because they'll close the account. I learned that the hard way. You know, when I first started the business, I think I was less than a year in the business, or 6 months, and I disputed my Capital One card inquiry, and they closed the account. And I was like, okay, no problem. I didn't care because the interest rate was 26%. I didn't know that at that time, which is high, because a lot of people that got bad credit, one of the first places they go to is Capital One, and they're just happy to get the card, but they don't look at the interest rate that's actually killing them, you know. And I was at 26%. And I was like, once I got edge, I was like, oh, I paid that card off. I cut it up. So when they closed the account, I was like, okay, cool. I'm cool with that because I was reestablishing my credit.
Okay, I gotcha. So you mentioned to me, and you just mentioned now, the house. So what kind of credit score should someone have, or what timeline? Like, if I wanted to buy a house and I was the 5 something, what timeline or what score do I need to be at to increase my chances of getting a house?
Well, most places, because I work with, you know, through the 10X community, and before the 10X community, I actually work with a lot of real estate agents, loan officers nationwide. You need at least a 640 just to get qualified. But this is my personal opinion. I learned this from a mortgage broker. Let's say this house right here is $200,000, right? This person has a 700 credit score. This person has a 640 credit score. The person that's paying a 640 credit score, their mortgage for that same house will be $2,000. The person with the 700 credit score, their mortgage may be $1,200. So which one you want? I would always encourage people, even if you get qualified to get into the house, continue to work on your credit so you can refinance it at a lower rate.
Great advice.
So that's why I'm not in a rush. I'm not in a rush. I want to get closer to that 750 so I get the lower rate.
Beautiful. Those were some of my pressing topics. Is there anything else that I'm not thinking to ask? Even with my notes, you covered them. You're so thorough.
Well, I think the biggest thing, like I said, to me, most people, if you got less than 680 credit score, you need to get started ASAP. Get started on it now. You know, you might have fast results. It might take you a little longer. It might take you a year and everything, or even more. Like I've been doing this for 4 years, and I look at, if I didn't start this when I did 4 years ago, I still have 528 credit score. So waiting leads to procrastination. And the only way to achieve your goals is to take action.
Agreed. I love it. So how do people take action? How do they find you, David?
2 ways. Matter of fact, if they're on your podcast, I'm going to do them a favor because I am a vice president with the company. So I can do promos. And normally it's $188 to get started with us. And then it's $89 a month for the first 3 months. Then after that, it drops down to $69. So I can give a $50 discount on the activation fee. So they can start for $138.
Wow.
I'll do that. They can text me Bobby and their name. That's what I did for my the guy I do a first time home buyer workshop with. I actually do that tonight, every Wednesday with them now. If they get started ASAP, like today's Wednesday, they get started by Saturday at midnight, they can take advantage of that $50 promo. They can text me Bobby to 302-709-1290. That's how they'll take advantage of that discount. Otherwise, they can go to my website, which is iamdavidleach.com.
All right. We'll have all this in the show notes, but I have to warn you, the shows don't come down. So you might get people texting you Bobby 3 years from now. So just so you know.
Okay. And just so they know, it'll be $188 to get started.
Fair enough.
Absolutely.
Well, David, I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you giving the audience a discount. That's very, very swell. And if there's nothing else, I'm in a good place, but I don't want to miss out on you sharing anything valuable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate you having me, Bobby. It was definitely a pleasure meeting you down in Miami. I know you and a few other people reached out to me and everything, wanting to know more information and help their clients. I've already got like 3 new business partners that want to work with me and help their clients and help themselves and everything to add some additional income. I always tell people a side hustle is not just for people that's looking to leave their 9 to 5. A side hustle is career insurance in case your 9 to 5 puts you.
Yes.
This pandemic was a perfect example. A lot of people were, so focused on the job and didn't have a plan B. And when the job let them go.
You bring up a good point. And there was a question I forgot to ask. So thank you for bringing up that part. Is there any qualifications to become involved, or is there training like with the program?
Oh, if anybody's looking to be a business partner, then that's a different conversation.
Okay.
They can text me agent. I'll ask them a few simple questions. What do they currently do? Where are they located? Are they coachable? Are they willing to invest in themselves? Why should I work with them? That's the big one right there is, I've built a team of over 400 people nationwide in 4 years. And I have 11 people that I know are ride and die with me regardless. They're not going nowhere. They just like me because they're hungry. When I started this, I used to work for the school district of Philadelphia. I was only making $794 every 2 weeks. I was doing Uber after that. I was living paycheck to paycheck, like 76% of society. And I was tired of that, barely holding my head above water. So I know what rock bottom looked like. Some people don't realize I'm a grown man at 50. I'm 52 now, but back then I think I was 47, 48. I was renting a room in my friend's house. And I was going through a state of depression for 2 months. I wasn't talking to nobody. And I was eating ramen noodles every day for 3 months. See, nobody knows that side of me. So that's what made me hungry for this opportunity. I was like, credit. I'm like, shoot, everybody need credit. I said, that was a no-brainer for me. I told my wife, I said, we put it on the credit card and we got started. And I just ran with it. And after 8 months of doing it, I doubled my income from the school district. I fired them in April of 2018. I've been doing this full time ever since. I earned my first $10,000 a month last year. I got 6 promotions in less than 3 years. And anybody asked me, said, was it worth it? Absolutely. You couldn't pay me to go back to nobody's job. Nobody. I made $10,000 3 months in a row. And I'm like, that's the most money I ever made in my life.
Yeah.
And it's funny because my mom's a teacher, retired for 35 years. When I first got started, she's like, you need to get a real job. I said, Mom, you retired. I said, you ain't got to like what I'm doing, just support what I'm doing. I said, you've been working on a job for 30, 35 years. You're not wealthy. My mom does well, but she's not wealthy. So and then when I think I made my first check, $3,400 in a week. I called my mom. I said, Mom, I made $3,400 in a week. I'm 51 years old. I've never made $3,400 in a week. My mom was like, I'm 76 years old. I ain't never made $3,400 in a week. She said, keep doing what you're doing. So it literally has changed my life and just helping other people. That's my main focus right now. I won't even lie, Bobby. I'm very transparent. When I first got started, I just worried about the money. I'm like, I'm making $794 every 2 weeks, and this man is showing me his check. He making $2,500 a week. I'm like, what I got to do? That's all I got to do. Just tell me, and you earn while you learn in this business. I've literally spoke to this man every day for 3.5 years, multiple times a day. So everybody kind of called me Mr. Johnson Jr. and everything because I know how he thinks, 90% of how he thinks. But it literally has changed my life, literally.
I really appreciate you sharing your story and the comeback for this audience to understand, like you were talking about financial rock bottom, and my folks could be experiencing financial rock bottom, relationships, all of that. But to share where you came from and how far you came in such a short period of time, fosters hope, right? Like it's a very inspiring story. And I really do appreciate you sharing that with everybody.
Absolutely. And I didn't answer your question when I think about it and everything. Anybody can do what I'm doing. I've never been to college. I just got a high school diploma. I went to the military for 3 years. I worked for the post office for 6 years. All you have to do is be willing to learn, be coachable, and be hungry. Those are only 3 traits that you really, it doesn't matter if you got a PhD or MA or high school. We actually have a young lady, high school dropout, 3 kids by the time she was 18. She made $500,000 in this company.
Wow.
Less than 4 years. It's like it's a 3 to 5 year retirement if you want it. We have a 28-year-old that made $5 million last year.
That is insane.
So it's just a possibility if you want it. Is, and you know this, Grant talks about it all the time. Anything worth having doesn't come easy, but it'd be worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Think about if what you're doing today is not going to help you reach the goal that you want for yourself in the next 5 or 10 years, you need to do something different because what you're doing is not working.
Agreed.
Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, they call that insanity.
Exactly, David. I love it. I love your passion for it. I love your energy and I love your mission. So I just appreciate you so much. And I'm glad I got a chance to get to know you a little better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate it. And anything I can do to help you or your fans and your guests and everything, just let me know.
Absolutely. Thanks, David.
No problem.
Try to remember